advice do you have to homeowners?
Practicing that preparedness, starting the conversation now is always going to be a benefit to any association out there.
And welcome to GlobalPro Live. I'm Dan Odess, president of GlobalPro, where we manage your risk to recovery, and we have managed more than $1 billion in that recovery. We represent community associations, business owners, high net worth individuals, family offices, all to help them, whether it's placing insurance or recovering from a loss. It's a cycle. It's something, once you buy that first policy, it just doesn't stop. You need to make sure that as you recover, the money that you're owed from your insurance company, that you rebuild in a way and document in a way that it does not in any way prejudice you or hurt you as you get that new policy, as you renew or potentially sell the property and transfer the ownership of any sort of claims that may exist. We want to make sure that these things are done right and appropriate, and that's what we do here every single week. We talk about these important issues just like this with incredible experts, consultants, advisors in respective fields. We want to bring them on, bring you fresh ideas and information every single week. Unfortunately today, as things happen in life, our scheduled programming didn't happen. However, it's going to get rescheduled. We can't wait to have on the team from Prestige, the president, to come on to talk about windows and important issues and doors and important issues that you need to be aware of as a community association or business owner that's purchasing new windows or doors for your property. We're going to talk about important issues, and that's going to come up. We're rescheduling, I promise you, so look out for those updates. But today, we're going to talk a little bit about business, about things coming at you. I mean, what a relevant topic. Today, this morning, had a little issue with my family, had to take care of it, and unfortunately, that did take precedence over the broadcast, but we want to continue to provide you fresh content, and I want to learn from this. So everything that goes on in life, and whether it's business or in your personal life, you learn from its adversity, and one thing that comes to mind is persistence, making sure that you continue to be persistent. One of the things that we talked about in an earlier broadcast was patience, but you have to have a measure and a balance of both, right? You need to have the patience and persistence. You can't just be patient and just sit around and hope it happens. You got to be persistent, but you have to understand that it may not happen tomorrow. It may take some time. You know, we all hear that, we see those memes and we hear about people like, my overnight success took 20 years. That's patience and persistence. Because with the right structure, the right goals, and the right amount of patience and persistence, you certainly can achieve what you're setting out to do. And today I was persistent. I was making sure that we actually did our podcast today because I want to continue to deliver fresh content. And with a storm season that continues to churn up new areas of interest, new named storms, we're running through the alphabet left and right. We want to constantly make sure that you're tuning in, getting the latest and greatest information. That's why this broadcast that we were going to have today about windows is so important, because after you recover the money you're entitled to, and you're going to spend that money, or potentially you're being told that if you fortify or fully protect the building with new windows and doors, you'll get discounts on insurance, and there may be other benefits to it, right? Sound and temperature, also certainly things you want to consider. So that's why it's important to have on people like Prestige Windows to look at these things, to make sure that you as board members and as business owners are making the right choices. Because when it comes to windows, and one of the things that we're going to talk about, not all of them are created equal, and there's a lot of things that need to talk about it. Particularly right now, as we're in storm season, there's a lot of questions about whether or not your building is fully protected and what that may mean, and if one window goes, what is it going to mean for the other windows in the property or doors? These are all really important issues. But it also got me thinking about the issues that we see in these construction-related damage claims and how, unfortunately, they're used by engineers and lawyers to pay their bills, okay? So, and what I mean by that is that they don't look at a specific issue, the actual cause of the issue, which led to the damages for which led to your attention of them to further investigate this issue. A lot of times they're taking broad sweeping approaches to these construction-related damage issues. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today and to build on as part of our programming that we had planned for today was to talk about why aren't all windows created equal? And the reason for breaking that down in part was so that you as a consumer are buying what you actually need. And that doesn't always mean that you buy the most expensive window. that means that you're buying the window you need, but you need to know what you're actually buying. It's just not because it looks good or it looks better than the other one. Like, what about it will make it perform better, or why is it a better investment to maybe spend a little bit more money? And when am I going to see the return on that investment? Through reductions in insurance and energy costs and all these other things, right? But also, when it comes to issues with the installation of those windows or doors or roof or whatever it is, and you're now having to deal with that as a board member, make sure you educate yourself in a way so you understand what your engineer or your attorney are looking for. Because it's not just good enough to say that the window is defective or the roof is defective. You need to get down into the weeds on this issue, because that's going to help you get paid sooner rather than later. It costs a heck of a lot less money to potentially litigate this issue, even if that's necessary. And it may sound foreign to some of you board members out there that may be listening in on this or listening to the recording of this, that, wait, you don't have to litigate, you don't have to hire a lawyer to deal with issues related to construction damages or defects? Yes, that's the God honest truth, right? Because more so today than ever before, insurance companies are coming to the table sooner or defending these claims sooner rather than later. Meaning that if you do have claims against contractors for alleged poor workmanship or defect issues with the manufacturer, whatever it may be, their insurance companies are taking the lead and making sure that you are actually investigating what truly is the issue. Is it the fastener? Is it the way the fastener was used, or is it the fastener itself? Is it the frame, or is it the way that the window was installed, which, you know, the installation of it racked the window, which led to separations of the frame? You need to drill down on it. You know, one of these, you know, I've been talking about, you know, kind of reflecting back in the last 10 years. And one of our very first construction damage losses come to mind. It's a defect claim, which sat with 3 different law firms and 2 different engineering companies for a good part of about 3 to 4 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars was spent on reports and legal fees, and because they had a defective roof. There was water getting into the building, and they had a defective roof. The on-site manager listened in on one of our classes. This goes back, way back to 2012, about ensuing damages and the claims I was dealing with regarding ensuing damages, wanted us to investigate what was going on in this particular matter. What I come to learn is that in a walkthrough at the property, I realized, like, these roofing material is installed beautifully. The seams are fine. The material looks good. It's shedding water. There's no real staining or, you know, standing water anywhere, and it had just rained a couple days earlier. This is the summer, you know, rainy's part of the season. I'm walking around. They were just reporting that there's more water in the unit. And I just stumbled across, and I'm looking at, you know, everything. I'm looking at the drains. I'm looking at the flashing. I'm looking at the cooling tower and the stands it's on and the springs. I'm looking for anything. And it just catches my eye that there's this blue fastener sitting in the flashing all around the parapet wall. And under further investigation, and I brought an engineer out of my own, at our own cost, at GlobalPro's expense, not the association's, to take a look at this particular issue to confirm what I knew to be true, which was that they used the wrong fastener. And instead of using the right fastener, they used the wrong fastener and put a drop of silicone on top of it. The reason why I brought the engineer out there is because we had all these other engineer reports, and it was like, okay, we need to clean up these engineering reports. Otherwise, it was pretty clear and obvious what really was causing this issue. So much so that I grabbed a hose myself, started spraying down the walls, and in doing so, I discovered really what the issue was. Now, again, brought an engineer because we had all these other engineering reports. We had engineering reports from the contractors. We had all these different reports. And we need to clear up the issue because everyone was looking at the drains, looking at the seams, looking at the materials themselves. A lot of confusion about it. So, but going through our process and objectively looking at exactly where was the water coming from, we discovered that it wasn't that you had a defective roof. You had a defective installation of a screw. The roofer itself was using it. There's nothing wrong with the material. In fact, there's nothing wrong with any of the other materials except for this issue with the screw, which led to a multi-million-dollar recovery, which ironically was significantly more than what the attorneys were seeking, even though the association had already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to this point. But through objective investigations and understanding that we can't just litigate about a bad roof. We can't just litigate about bad windows. We need to investigate specific issues when it comes to construction damages and construction defects. And that will lead to better adjusting of claims. And better adjustment of claims leads to resolution, leads to payments earlier on. A typical insurance claim takes 4 to 8 months. If it goes to litigation, 8 months to a year and a half, in our experience. What I see with these construction defect lawsuits is 2 years to 10. 2 to 10 years. And I've seen the estimates from law firms on this issue, which estimate the potential cost of being in this 7-figure range. And that's kind of where this association was headed at that time, had we not done what we did and got them the resolution they actually needed and wanted years before. And again, it was a matter of months before we got the resolution and dealing with the insurance company directly. And that's not to say that there weren't issues to litigate, because there were. They still had other issues with their elevator and their expansion joints and other things that were not recoverable through the insurance and were truly defects and unfortunately did require them to continue to litigate. But however, we were able to take this major issue that they were dealing with, collect the money for it, remediate and fix the issue, and move on. Now you might ask yourself, why did a small little fastener end in a multi-million-dollar recovery? And because the real reason is that because of the fastener issue, the water got under the membrane of the roof. Again, there was nothing visibly wrong with the actual material on its surface, but we started pulling it back. We started realizing there's some soft spots in it. They did actually a GPR. They took an X-ray, if you will, of the roof area to find the moisture area. There was a lot more work that needed to be done because of this fastener issue, which led to a much more significant recovery. Water got behind the stucco system, led to cracked and bubbling in the paint and cracking in the stucco system. So, we had to deal with those issues. And unfortunately for the association, many of those recoveries or damages we recovered for were overlapping with some of the issues with the expansion joint, some other things that they were investigating, which they did need to litigate on because there really was a material issue with the actual expansion joint. But the reality of it is that through further and proper investigation, you can avoid a lot of these expenses, and you can dual track these things, even if you're in litigation right now. We have investigated claims that were made as part of a lawsuit where people just dug their heels in, were ready to fight, and it was going to be trial. Like they were projecting trial 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And we were able to pick off issues, again, making whatever it is that you're litigating that much more focused, that much more cost effective and timely, right? It's a good thing for the lawyers. The lawyers actually welcome this. Those that we have worked with are actually very excited about this, right? That we can do these things, right? And we have the competency to be able to deliver these results consistently. And there's proof of it. We have many different examples of it all over the country, particularly the South Florida market, Orlando, and some of the northeast parts of the Florida area. We have done this. We have done this over and over again to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. I would say in excess of over $500 million at this point. One particular claim was in excess of $100 million. So in those instances, there's an opportunity for us to get involved in your process to mitigate these issues. And I wanted to talk about this issue today when we were talking about how to select windows and doors for your property and building, because we do see a lot of defective installation of windows and doors. So this is a relevant and important issue. Right now in storm season, everyone wants to make sure that their buildings are protected. And when your windows fail and your insurance company comes out and says, oh, it's all wind-driven rain, or the other excuse is poor workmanship and improper installation, those are usually the two buckets they throw it in. We need to investigate that a little bit further. Get into the weeds on it. Since when has hurricane damage anything other than hurricane damage? First off, okay? Windows didn't leak for the last 4 or 5 years from the time that they were installed the first time, and now you're kind of trying to claim that it was poor workmanship or wind-driven rain, right? A whole different set of bag of tricks and issues, many of which we've talked about here on the Recovery Report Live with many other experts, engineers, window and door experts, like GCI and other engineering firms like Mueller and Falcon. We want to address these issues head on and show you and demonstrate to you that there's different ways of looking at all of these different scenarios. And one of the biggest issues we see, particularly in hurricane season, is deductible phobia. We haven't had a direct impact in the South Florida region, but our coastal areas in Texas and everything else have been impacted by it. And as we launch our office in Dallas, we are going to be dealing with those issues there. More so than ever. We have clients that are in those markets. We've handled claims in those markets, whether it be Houston and Galveston or Dallas and other parts of Texas. We have been there. We've handled those claims. Now we're taking a prominent stance on and want to help our clientele in that market. We want to make sure that we are building a team that's there locally addressing those issues, just like we have in the South Florida market, Central and North Florida, as well as in Texas and New York and DC now. So it's important that that you as our clients and as those that look to us for advice and information have access to our team and our staff in these markets that are being impacted by these storms and these issues. Because it's just not something that you see in South Florida. It's definitely something you see in the coastal areas. I'm already hearing about people dealing with hurricane damages in Oklahoma and the Tennessee and Kentucky areas and the Northeast. We are hearing about failing roofs and other issues because you had tornadoes and you had other types of activities that were either spawned or related to or happening around the time of some of these other major storms that kind of move through those areas. So it's really important that you understand that, again, question the reaction or the response from the insurance company. Look into these issues, look closer at your own experts' reports. Make sure that they've properly defined the actual cause of your issue. Maybe there's no issue or issue regarding the causation. Maybe the insurance company has actually provided coverage for hurricane damages. Again, no real reason to spend a heck of a lot of money on engineering reports and all these other expert reports. A lot of experts will push it on you. Oh, we'll get you more money. We'll do a better report, better job at it. The reality is that there's no coverage issue. Exactly what are those reports going to do for you? And we have seen clients spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they wanted these reports, they wanted to do the investigation and get the same results that we had already expected. So, but on the flip side of it, when dealing with construction-related damage claims, we see clients spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and get no results. So it's interesting. On the hurricane side, you see policyholders spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and get the same result had they just, again, properly adjusted claim, timely responded to document requests, allowed the insurance company the opportunity to inspect and kind of going through the process and comply with your post-loss obligations. When it comes to construction damage claims, a lot of times we see associations and business owners run out of the box with these really fancy, really expensive reports and all these allegations and get zero result or a very de minimis result. So need to understand each situation, how unique which one it is, and how to navigate that process. And that's what we've been doing for nearly 10 years. We are counting down to 10 years. I'm very excited about March of 2022 marks the 10-year anniversary of GlobalPro. We've done so many great things. We've recovered over $1 billion. We represented thousands of policyholders in the placements of millions of dollars in premium. Millions. We've been on the front lines in almost every major storm or disaster that has occurred in the United States, Caribbean, and also we've consulted on many other disasters outside of the United States in the Caribbean area. We are on the front lines. We are helping the first responders. And most importantly, and a huge cornerstone of our culture and of our business, and the success is dependent on it, is our community. And making sure that our community comes first and constantly giving back. We've teamed up with Camilla's House this year. We've done things with Fragile X. We've done things with many other organizations. We've given back to various charities that were helping and supporting local communities that are dealing with disaster, whether it was buying roofs and donating a roof for a church that became the community epicenter for recovery, or it was handling claims for those community centers and then donating the fees back so that they can accelerate the building process and do those things. Just check us out online. Check it out. Look at what we're doing. It's out there. We want the public, we want the community to know what we're doing to make sure that they understand what they also can do. Because I love when I see other competitors in the industry copy what we're doing. It's great. Give back to your community. You can't give enough. I'm a huge proponent of it. I'm also a huge proponent of constantly delivering insurance information you can use, whether you're in real estate, whether you're in the hospitality industry, whether you're a high-net-worth individual. Maybe you're running a family office. Maybe you're just a homeowner or a unit owner that's on a board, or maybe you're even not. Maybe you just want to understand a little bit more about insurance, the real estate market, business practices, things like that. That's where you want to. This is where you want to come. You want to come to Recovery Report Live, but make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow us, like us on all the social media. That's how you get the updates. Like if you had subscribed to us, you would have gotten a push notification immediately when I started this broadcast. Even though I know we missed the 11 o'clock time period, because again, life comes at you fast. We got to keep moving with this. We will reschedule the programming. I'm very excited. Next week we have an awesome guest on as well. We're going to be talking about, again, more about products. We're going to be doing that stuff. In fact, we're looking to roll out maybe a little bit consumer review on certain products that you may be able to use as a business or community association. Do some product in the field product reviews, put them on the YouTube channel, record them, walk you through what do we like about them, what do we don't. I'd be interested to hear some feedback on that. So if that sounds interesting to you, let us know. I think I'm going to give it a shot at it in the coming weeks, see what we can do with it, see where it goes, see what type of reaction we get. But I honestly think that being on the front lines gives us a wealth of knowledge and experience that many don't have. So, and there's a lot of products out there. There's a lot of information about things that allegedly can help you. There's also those that actually do. So let's see what works. Let's see what doesn't work. But most importantly, hit the subscribe button, like us, follow us, and tune in every week on the Recovery Report Live to hear about all the things that can help you in your business, your community association, or for your family office, or you as an individual. We look forward to seeing you next week. Here, same place, same time, Recovery Report Live. I'm Dan Odess. Thanks again for tuning in this week to Recovery Report Live. See you next week.